I've got too many books, guys. I need to make space. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing, for the first time ever, actually doing an unhaul video. So I've done, obviously, plenty of book haul videos over time. I've never actually done an unhaul video, and I have definitely unhauled books before. Just usually, it's, I kind of would just kind of have a small stack, and I would do them in chunks. This time, though, with, I'd been doing so well with not buying new books for a while now. I was doing really, really well. End of November and beginning of December, I crashed and burned a little bit. So between books that I have bought, some gifts that have already started to come in, and I imagine a few more. I literally even just sent my family my my booktube wish list for book ideas. So I'm like, there you go, it's the same stuff. And so I imagine I'll get some more throughout here and probably buy more, if I'm being honest, because like I said, I've been bad. So it was time to clear some space. So I had some that I already had an unhaul pile, and then I went through and just tried to look and see what are some other books that I can get rid of. So some of these are books that I tried and did not care for in DNF. Some of them are ones I've just had for a long time, and we'll talk through each one. But with no further ado, let's get into it. So first up, we have The High Druid of Shannara by Terry Brooks, and this is part of Hardcovers. So this is, I think, one of the later series. This one, it doesn't actually say, but I'm pretty sure it's from whatever the Hardcovers series is. But this one I've had for quite some time. I used to just pick up any fantasy books I could find. Now the thing is, I have, and they are just off screen over here, but I have the Sword of Shannara Trilogy, Heritage of Shannara, and Voyage of the Jewel Shannara Trilogy in the bind-ups. Heritage is 4 books, but whatever. So I have those bind-ups. I've read Heritage, but I have not read the other 2. And so honestly, it's going to probably take me a while to read those other 2 trilogies I have not read. And also then after that, I'd probably look to get a similar bind-up. I'm assuming they have those for the other books, so I figured that one would be ready to say goodbye. On the same note, I have the Fall of Shannara, the Black Elf Stone. This is one of the last Shannara books in the series. I got this for $1 at the Dollar Tree forever ago. Just like, oh, Shannara, why not? It's $1. But also, once again, this is one of the last books in the series. It's going to take me forever to get to. So I'll probably look to get it at that point. And right now, it's just taking up space. Next up, we have The Burning Sky by Sherry Thomas. This is another random book I got for $1. Because I definitely have a weakness for doing that, because when it's $1, why not? So this one is, I don't really know a ton about. It was just super cheap, and so I grabbed it, but it's not one I really see myself actually probably reading. It's just, it was $1, and that's basically it. It's compared to Harry Potter on the back, and that definitely makes me feel good about this decision. So into the unhaul pile it went. Next up, then, we have Radiant by James Allen Gardner. Now, if you can see, this is an old library book that I bought at a library that was selling it for probably like 25 cents. This is a sci-fi book, which I don't read a ton of sci-fi. I actually looked up, and apparently you can potentially read it, but it is part of a series, and it is in the middle of a series. And so I've had this for many, many, many years, and so that's why I'm like, I'll probably just let this one go as well. See, we're starting with the hardcovers. They take up a lot of space, and so that's why. Coming up next in the dollar books, Blade of Empire by Mercedes Lackey and James Mallory, and this is book 2 of a series, and it is exactly why. I got this because, once again, it was $1, and, once this is new, this is the same kind of thing you find on Book Outlet, overstock copies you can find in dollar stores sometimes, or other stores too. It's book 2 of a series. I don't have book 1, and I don't have any immediate plans of buying book 1. Also, it probably won't be that hard to find since it was so cheap to begin with, so that's another one that's heading out. So then, the next 2 actually come for a different reason. That is Spine of the Dragon and Revenge War by Kevin J. Anderson. So I got these because the premise of Spine of the Dragon sounds very, very interesting, and I was intrigued. I heard about it, and then I finally started reading it. This was my second booktube spin pick, and I got, there's my bookmark still in here. Probably should take that out. But I got in 10 chapters, 74 pages before I decided this one's not for me. I did this too when I did my first reading first chapters video. I was not impressed by the first chapter. It did not pull me in at all. It just kind of seemed odd. And as I kept going, this book just keeps introducing more and more characters, keeps very clumsily info dumping their tragic history, and just it didn't really work for me. It's everybody either has this tragic backstory or they're like the most amazing, perfect person ever, and it's not really realistic. It's fantasy, I know, but it just didn't pull me in at all. There were some weird scenes, some odd things I didn't really need, and I did not see myself actually finishing this. I DNF'd. So book 2, which I already have, unfortunately is going. The nice thing is that's 2 books off the shelf. So this is a unique one. The Liar's Key by Mark Lawrence. Why am I getting rid of this? Because I'm dumb, and I bought this thinking I was buying one of the Broken Empire hardcovers on Book Outlet. Because I only have those in mass market paperback, but I have this beautiful Red Queen's War, Grim Oaks Press hardcover bind-up, so I don't need this book. I bought this on Book Outlet and immediately realized I was dumb and shouldn't have bought it, which is a shame because it's once again it's in good condition. It's got the dot from Book Outlet, but great condition. So that was one where I just I have a duplicate. So most of them aren't like that. Coming up with another fun one, we have this stupid freaking copy of The Three Musketeers. That was also me being dumb and not realizing this was a pocketbook with like the gold pages, like it's one of those mini Bibles. I will never read this. This is too small. I like The Three Musketeers. I've read it before. And I'm like, oh, a hardcover copy. Nice. I ordered a hardcover 20 years after at the same time. And you know what? It was normal size. This one wasn't. Obviously, this is too small. I'm not going to read this. I'm not even going to like try to give this to somebody. This is just, I don't know who would actually want to read a book this small. Definitely not me, though. That's for sure. So then we have a book. I think I got this at Half Price Books. And that is The Red Knight. And this is supposed to be like kind of a gritty, I think, mercenary war type thing. And this I bought. I thought it sounded familiar. And then I posted on Discord that I bought it. And immediately Dominish reminded me of why it sounded familiar because he had talked about it before and about how terrible he thought it was. So, Dominish, thanks for the tip. That one's going in the Unhaul pile. We've got another random one. Traveler. This was another $1 one. It's also a sequel to a different book. So once again, when it's a sequel to a series I've never heard of, I only pick it up for $1. I probably shouldn't do that anymore. And I'm trying not to. I'm trying to get better, guys. I'm trying. Next up, then, we have few things I actually enjoyed. We have The Star Is My Destination and The Demolished Man by Alfred Bester. I'm glad I read both of these. I liked The Star Is My Destination, if I can talk, more than I liked The Demolished Man, because Demolished Man was a bit problematic. Granted, I suppose The Star Is My Destination was as well. These are classic sci-fi, though. I'm really glad I read both of these, but I had to think about it, and I think I'm not going to reread these. Glad I read them. It was an experience. These are not ones I'm going to reread, and so honestly, I don't want them taking up shelf space. I do have a lot of books, and I buy a lot of books. Primarily, though, if I read a book and I don't think I'm ever going to reread it, I usually will unhaul, and so there are some that are just like that as well. I have mostly actually been reading books that I've really enjoyed lately, for the most part. So there haven't been a ton of that, but that's kind of the thing too. You know, like collections, series I really enjoy. Those are things that I know I will reread over time, and just books that I want for my collection. These ones, probably not. Then we have the Dark Angel trilogy by Meredith and Pierce. This is a fun story because I opened this up at Half Price Books, and I read the front flap. Well, it continues on the back flap, and if I would have read the back flap, I would have realized I did not want to read this book. It's not very long. This is another one I did the first chapter of, and I realized very quickly this was not at all what I thought it was. It's kind of like a dark vampire romance thing, apparently, that takes place on the moon. But I read the part about it being on the moon, and like settlers there, and like they created creatures from fairy tale, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Back flap explains all the other parts. I didn't read that. So yeah, this one's just not for me. It probably is good if you like the kind of thing, but it's not for me. So then we have, I'm finally admitting it, and I'm sad because this is a beautiful book, but I put this down when I was 92 pages in. back in like September. I'm not going to finish it. I'm not going to continue it. I was planning on giving it a shot because though it looks huge, the spacing and font are pretty decent. So it's not nearly as long as it looks. It's just done to make it look longer. We did this as kind of an unofficial buddy read in the Discord, and pretty much everybody who actually finished it was pretty lukewarm and just said it was just okay. I wasn't really interested at all. I had some complaints early on and was not pulled in whatsoever. So when everybody else didn't really seem to care for it that much, I decided it's time to get rid of it. It's beautiful. I love the cover, and I was so tempted to keep it just to display because I really enjoy how it looks. But especially something this thick, it needs to go. It just does. And then next up, we do have a whole bunch of, well, it starts with DNFs. So we have the Broken Earth Trilogy. So I read the 5th season, the first book. This is one I had meant to read for quite some time. And so I finally decided to read it because Andrew is reading it. And this book is just not for me. I did do a whole kind of ranty review on this. I don't think it's a terrible book, but it's definitely not for me. I did not care for it, and I will not be continuing. There's just nothing at all that... The only reason I was glad to finish it is because I could stop reading it. I actually would have DNF'd it several times throughout, but I wanted to finish it because I know it's popular. I wanted to see if maybe it'll pull me in with the ending. It did not. It did not at all. So that whole trilogy can go, which honestly is probably a good thing because I actually bought the 3rd book first and it's not the same size and I hate that. It's been dragging me nuts for a while. So, all right. Next up is Mordu by Alex Phoebe. I did a review on this one as well. This was what I think is really hilarious. This is the UK version. And it is much, much thicker and makes it look like it's bigger and longer than the US version, which I've now seen, which makes it look much, much smaller. And I don't know, maybe the US version don't have the ridiculously dumb, like, 150-page appendix that this does either. Maybe they cut that out, which, yeah, probably a good idea. This book, though, sounded so interesting. This won the Reading First Chapters challenge because I was so intrigued, and then I continued to just go down completely different pathways and lose everything that I was interested in. It's just kind of slow and droning, and I finished it, but I did not like this book, and so that's another one to go. Then we have the next up in series I own multiple books in that I probably shouldn't have. Stone on the Skull and the Red-Stained Wings by Elizabeth Bear. I started reading Stone on the Skull, and I was buddy reading this with a friend of mine, Biblioshark, from Discord, and we both started reading it, and we're just like, this is weird, and this doesn't make a lot of sense. And come to find out, this is like a sequel trilogy, and you're supposed to be able to read this without reading the other books. But I have to think maybe it would have made more sense if I had read the other books, because it definitely did not. But we both got to, I think, about chapter 3. I still have my bookmark of this one, too. Yeah, the beginning of chapter 3. I read in one of my wrap-ups the first, paragraph, and it was just so ridiculously ridiculous. I don't even know how else to put it, that I immediately put it down. And the best part is he put it down at the same exact spot and messaged me. And I got there and I'm like, okay, I see why. Yeah, I'm done too. So these books also will be heading on the way. And then finally, we're jumping back into the category of books that I've just had forever that I'm being honest, I'm probably not going to read. And that is a collection of Isaac Asimov Foundation books. Now, these are crazy old. They're not in the best condition. I got these from like a garage sale for practically nothing. Once again, I always heard about it. They have like the pretty version, the Foundation Barnes & Noble one too. But I'm honestly probably not going to get to these. I don't read a ton of sci-fi. I've read some other classic sci-fi that I enjoyed, so I think it's possible I could enjoy these. But I'm just being realistic. I've had these for many years. I'm probably not going to read them. And there's quite a few books here, so I figured those two can leave me some more shelf space. So that is going to be the unhaul, everything I'm unhauling at this time. I'm glad to get some of this out just because a lot of this has taken up a lot of shelf space. And most of it wasn't visible because I have other spots I was putting actually a stack of unhaul books on top of this bookshelf. But I went through and grabbed some others as well, just to kind of try and make some more room. because I have too many new books and nowhere to put them. And I don't really have room for another shelf in this room, so I'm kind of stuck. But yeah, it was definitely time. Some of these, like I said, were books that I DNF'd, or just books that I don't think I'm ever going to read. And I did clear out a while back. I just went through a lot of the books I'd had for a long time, many years that I had, that I didn't think I was going to read, because I'd gotten them previously before I developed my book buying habit, when I had barely ever had access to bookstores, and was too cheap to buy a lot online, because most of the books I buy are used or very cheap. I didn't realize some of the other sites and stuff, and now I know about them, which is not necessarily a good thing. It's nice for cheap books, but it's bad for me buying too many books. But so, these are what I'm unhauling. Let me know if you support any of these books I'm unhauling, or if you're very upset with me for unhauling a book that you enjoyed. Always happy to hear. You're not going to change my mind, unfortunately, at this point. It is set in stone. These books are unhauled. They won't actually be unhauled by the time this video comes out. I'm gonna have to eventually take them somewhere to get rid of them. But they're all gone. It has been decided that these are going. So that's my book Unhaul. That just sounds weird to say, but let me know too if you like videos like this. I've never done one before. I know some people have done them. I've seen them before. Let me know, do you like seeing the unhauls as well as the hauls? If so, maybe I'll just save up all my unhaul pile books until I have enough to do another one of these videos. So let me know in the comments. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description for the Wizardly Duo Discord if you want to chat books. Anything else, it's a lot of fun, and we would love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.